One of my favorite jokes in this joke book that I made, I got from Rabbi David Oziri, who's a beloved Rav in our community, big Talmid Chacham, big Baal Chesed. He built up the Syrian community, the yeshiva community, and whenever he speaks, he always likes to start with a good joke. And this one I got from him. There was once 3 sons, and their mother was a Bukharim woman from the Bukhari community in Israel, which is a very humble, simple neighborhood. No one shows off their wealth over there. Very simple people, very simple houses. No one's making big mansions and showing off. Not like other neighborhoods where each house tries to be fancier and classier than the other. And she had 3 sons, and this woman, saw that the sons were becoming successful, and they wanted to move away from home. She gave them her bracha, and they moved away. Each one became a millionaire. Each one became so rich, fabulously wealthy. But they never really, went to visit their mother because they're too busy running their businesses and building up their empire of wealth. After a number of years, each one felt, hey, we have to visit Mama. We have to visit Mama. So each one said, you know what? First we should send her a present. So the first one said, I'm going to send her a chauffeur with a limousine. So if she has to go anywhere, the limousine, she just calls the chauffeur and he can take her driving through the streets in this big car limousine. Wow. What could be a better present than your private chauffeur? The second one said, I have a good idea. I'm going to build her a new mansion. And he hired the best architect. Find a piece of land and build my mother a palace, a castle, a home that you dream about, her dream home. And the third one said, brothers, that's what you're giving mommy, a big home, big car. She needs company. She needs someone to talk to. I have an idea. In the Amazon, they have these birds, these parrots, that know entire vocabularies. They know words. And I'm going to buy mommy the best parrots. It's a bird that's going to be able to talk to her. And it's going to be able to say to her, hi, how are you? How are you feeling? Have a good day. And mommy will be so happy because people need someone in their life to talk to them. Chazal say, oy chavrusa, oy mizuzah. If someone doesn't have a friend, he'd rather be dead. So they each sent the presents. After a while, they decided to go visit Mama. They went to the fancy house. She wasn't there. It was vacant. It was empty. They called the chauffeur, the limousine. He says, oh, she never calls me. I don't know. She's not interested. They said, I can't believe it. These big expensive presents she didn't even use. Finally, they go to the house. Their old house, a small, tiny house. And she says, oh, my children, thank you for visiting Mama. Thank you for the presents. But I don't need so much. You, Chaim, you give me a big car. It's so big, I can't even turn in the street. It's like a truck. I couldn't fit in the street, so I don't need it. And you, Shlomo, you give me a big house. I'm a little lady, a small woman. I don't need such a big house. So many rooms, I get dizzy, I get lost. But you, Yosef, the chicken you sent me was delicious. The moral of the story is, appreciate things more. Sometimes I tell a joke to kids, and they don't get the joke. And I feel like, why did they get it? But I guess the older you get, the more you understand life, and the more you can laugh at life itself, sometimes. There was a joke. I wrote down in my little joke book over here about someone who was in the cemetery. And he was crying and crying on top of someone's grave. And this was a middle-aged man maybe in his later years. And he's banging on the grave and he's crying. And he's saying, why did you die? Why did you die? Why did you die? And he's banging on the grave. Poor guy. He didn't plan on dying. He died. So someone was watching him and he said, oh, I'm so sorry for you. It must be a relative. He goes, no, no relation. Why did you die? Why? So he said, if he's not related to you, why do you feel so attached to him? No, I'm not related. He was my wife's first husband. All right. All right. Some people get it, some people don't. Okay, wait. Okay. Now I have to tell you a story. Okay. This story, I really should say with all the details, but I heard it a long time ago. I read it a long time ago. I don't remember all the details, but I remember the punchline. The story goes like this. There's a beautiful story that happened about 200 some years ago. There was a man that came to the Bach. Bach was a great rabbi. He wrote a sefer called Bayis Chadash. And he was a poor man who had a big problem. It's called finances. A lot of people have stress because they owe a lot of money to people and they're not making enough money. And this man, even rich people sometimes are under stress because even if they're making a lot of money, they also owe a lot of money sometimes for investments. And it turns out he went to the great Talmid Chacham, the great Posek Hadar, the Bayis Chadash, known as the Bach, and he asked for advice. Rebbe, please, give me a bracha, give me an eitzah, give me advice. So the Bach told him, I'm giving you a note, speak to such and such person. He's a very rich man, and if he knows that I sent you asking for help, I'm sure he'll be able to give you some money to help you pay up your debts and get on your feet again. Sometimes a person feels like a turtle that was turned upside down. A turtle, if it loses leverage and turns upside down, it's kind of stuck until someone comes and helps him back up on his feet. And many turtles have died like that because the sun bakes on them, and if they don't turn over, sometimes they're stuck on their own back. It's like round. So how are they supposed to turn over? So sometimes turtles actually dry out from the sun and they die. And some people, ani chashiv kameis, they're so poor that they feel mamish like a turtle upside down till someone gives them a hand. And it turns out the man thanked the Bach and he went to the rich man hoping he'll give him some attention, some time to discuss his expenses. And the rich man said, Shalom Aleichem. Oh, you got a letter from the Bach? Oh, so pleased to talk to you. Listen, I'm in a rush now. I'm going to a fair where I'm going to buy some merchandise. Come back in 3 weeks and I'll be happy to talk to you. The poor man was thinking to himself, if I live for 3 weeks, he had so many bills, and now what's he going to come home and tell his wife that I have no help, but maybe in 3 weeks, maybe she'll throw him out of the house. Boy, he was upset. But the rich man went on his way, not realizing the pain of poverty. The poor man felt so lonely waiting for 3 weeks till the rich man would come back. Because very often, poor people have no friends. Rich people have lots of friends. People want to have shaykhs to them, go to their parties. Poor people sometimes have no friends. Who wants to be friends with them? And he waited 3 weeks. Finally, the man came back and he listened to his problem and he gave him money, and the poor man was able to thank him and go on his way, appreciating that now he could pay back some of his bills and buy some merchandise and try to make some parnasa. Soon after this story, the rich man died and he went to heaven. And he went to the Olam Emes, to the real world. And when a person goes to the next world, he's judged. Which mitzvahs he did, which averos he did. He gets to go to Gan Eden for his good deeds, and he gets to go to Gehenim for his bad deeds. It's a really exciting place, the next world. The rich man told them, I'm a student of the Bach. I learned Torah by the Bach, and they gave him a lot of kavod. It turns out he came to the Bach in a dream. And he says, Rebbe, when I told them I'm your student. They gave me COVID. It was gewaldic. But Rebbe, you don't know what they did to me. And he comes to his Rebbe in a dream. He says, Rebbe, they told me I get to go to Gan Eden because I did many mitzvos. And they said I can go to Gan Eden because I learned Torah. But Rebbe, you know what they did to me? They said I have to wait outside of Gan Eden for 3 weeks. Because since I made the poor man wait 3 weeks till I helped him, they made me wait 3 weeks out of Gan Eden. And he says, Rebbe, I don't think Gehenim is as painful as a person waiting outside of Gan Eden who's not allowed to go in. I didn't even think Gehenim is that painful. When you want something so much, you can't wait for it. And that was the lesson that the Bach learned in a dream. That sometimes someone asks you for a favor, do it right away. Don't push it off. He pushed off doing the favor and he got pushed off of Gan Eden. We know Noach was late to feed the lion. Bam, he got a kapara on the spot. So let's try to have more zrizas, especially when it comes to helping the poor and the needy. The next joke or story I heard from Rabbi Peretz Scheinerman, Shlita. He's the principal of the Hebrew Academy of Providence, Rhode Island. And when I went there to do a Torah show about 5 years ago, I told him a joke. He told me the following joke. Someone came to the rabbi and he complained. He said, Oy vey, Rabbi, I don't know what to do. The rabbi said, what's the matter? He said, Rabbi, Yom Kippur comes out on the same night as the Super Bowl, and I never missed the Super Bowl. What am I going to do? So the rabbi tells him, that's a problem. So why don't you video it? Nowadays you can video things. So why don't you video it? So the man said, you could video Kol Nidre? He didn't chap. He meant video the game. He thought you could video shul. Shul's not a place to go and just think, I have to go. Shul has to be a place where you look forward to go. I once read a story about 3 people who were laying bricks. A bricklayer has a pretty boring job. He sits outside in the sun, putting cement down, making sure it's straight, putting on a stone, then getting another stone and putting it on, and then putting more cement and putting on a brick. It's a little boring. We call that monotonous. When you do the same thing over and over, that comes a little boring. But Hashem makes people like their work. In other words, the guy who takes out the garbage truck, Hashem put in his heart to enjoy driving a garbage truck. This way the world runs. Hashem put in the doctor's mind to enjoy doing surgeries. Hashem put in the dentist's mind the enjoyment of going in someone's mouth and scratching away and drilling away and making blood and whatever he does. But the bottom line is, so there were 3 people laying bricks. So someone went over to the first one. And he says, sir, howdy, how are you today? He's like, fine. He's sitting there, putting on his bricks, putting the cement, brick, Pretty boring job. It's also a heavy job. You have to schlep up sometimes 100 bricks. And the guy's got sweat coming out of his eyes. Out of his head. And he says, sir, what are you doing? He says, me? What do you think I'm doing? I'm laying bricks. Are you blind? Can't you see what I'm doing? Oh, just wanted to know. Here's another guy. He's also putting down bricks and the cement. And he says, sir, hi, what you doing? And he says, me? I'm making $10 an hour. What do you mean what I'm doing? In his mind, that's what he's doing. He's making $10 right now by working. So you see him laying bricks, but in his mind, I'm making money. That's what I'm doing. So he walks over to the third guy. And he says, sir, hi, sorry to bother you. What are you doing? He says, me? I'm building a hospital. In life,